it's tough in this field because we go to school, we learn how to be technicians, but we don't necessarily learn the ins and outs of how to effectively run and build a successful business. So I often feel like it's the case that we need to live it out in the business world. So we've been just been trying to learn.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and this show today is going to be fantastic. Our guest is a co-founder of Stellex Solutions in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, and is a Pure Bookkeeping licensee. Alex Frolick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael.
It's wonderful to have you, Alex. And before we get into too much, I'd love to hear your career journey leading up to this point.
Great. Yeah. So Stephen and I, we have a little bit of an eclectic background. So first of all, the origin of the name Stellex, basically that's our couple name. So Stephen served in the military for 5 years, from 2006 to 2011. That's including going to Afghanistan for 7 months in 2009 to 2010. And so after that, he started working in construction in February of 2012 and still does to this day when he's not working with me at Stellex. So the way I actually found bookkeeping was a bit of a happy accident, really. I was attending university, pursuing a Bachelor of Arts, and I wasn't certain what career path I wanted to pursue, but always had a deep respect for the sciences. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a science brain, or else I would have pursued something in engineering or medicine. However, looking back, I distinctly remember one afternoon in my first year chemistry lab course, my classmates teased me that I was moving so precisely throughout the experiment, but it worked out in the long run as the TA recognized this and advised me that I could leave early as my data was that good.
Wow.
Yeah, so after that incident, my perspective started shifting. To be honest, I was intimidated by the chem lab at first, but quickly loved it. I loved the math, the precision, the findings it would provide from the theories we were learning about in the classroom. I knew I wanted to explore another field where I could use my gifts of helping others paired with the math and precision, and that's where I found bookkeeping.
Wow. So it sounds like, yes, that methodical approach to things is probably served you well in bookkeeping.
Exactly.
I love it. And so that was the lead up to your career. And how did it come to be that you, Stephen, right, your partner?
Yep.
How did it come that you decided, hey, let's start a bookkeeping business?
Yeah, great question. I think it comes down to that. I think because of the pandemic, a lot of people have started creative side hustles and started looking at their work and home life very differently, and it's kind of fast tracked them pursuing other passions and building their businesses on the side, or trying to turn that side hustle into a main gig. So I think from there, I always knew that like the bookkeeping industry is quite unregulated. Mm-hmm. And I would say too that there are so many businesses out there, and joining forces with Stephen, I mean, he is quite a bit more creative than me. And I always felt like I wanted to partner with someone. I just didn't know at the time that that actually would be my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's often the one behind the scenes, the marketing genius behind the scenes. I cannot take credit for that. A lot of the ideas, the visions that he has, the directions that we want to take this is coming from him, just as much as me. But yeah, he's definitely more of the creative brain. And I think together, our strength is our diversity.
I love it. I love it. And yes, your partners in life and your partners in business. How has that been living with your partner?
Yeah, it has been really cool for each of us to see other dimensions of each other. Stephen and I actually got married on November 20th, 2021. And so we incorporated at the end of December 2021. So it's a very young business, Steelix. I'll be honest, though, as great as the collaboration is, the lines do often get a little blurred. We do enjoy working alongside each other. It has certainly helped us learn how to more effectively communicate with each other. But one thing, though, that Stephen is learning is that he has a tendency to imply a lot of urgency in how he expresses himself, which has the potential to cause conflict between us, as I often interpret that this idea or a group of ideas needs to be executed soon, when really it's more of a down the road kind of idea. So I suppose, like everything in life, I guess it's a learning process and journey, and we have to embrace the journey. And ultimately, it has made us stronger as a couple, particularly, absolutely, definitely regarding our communication.
Very cool. Well, it's an interesting point, and I from what I've heard so far, Stephen is the visionary entrepreneur role. So if we talk about E-Myth, I'm not sure if you've read E-Myth before. It's Michael Gerber's work on
Yes.
businesses and building systems, and in oh, you've read the book?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So for our listener, if you haven't read it, it's I consider it must read. His original work is a must read, which is if you search for it, it's E-Myth Revisited, I think, is the newest book, E-Myth Revisited, and that's the foundational book that must be read by all small business owners, in my opinion. And then, of course, E-Myth Bookkeeper is the book that was written by Debbie Roberts and Peter Cook. After reading E-Myth Revisited, they build a system-driven business and write about it in E-Myth Bookkeeper. But getting back to the point is we've got the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician in every business. And so what happens is most small businesses are started by technicians, not by entrepreneurs, but by technicians. And so they either lack or haven't developed the managerial side or the visionary entrepreneur side. Mm-hmm. You've brought a visionary, by the sounds of it, I'm just taking a guess, and you're the technician. And so you've got two people, but then there can be conflicts between these roles. And so figuring them out is the journey. But it's both working with family or having partners, whether it's a family member or not. It brings another level, I think, to running a business, and can be challenging. But there's a lot of pros to it as well, but it sounds like you just got to find you are in the process of finding your roles and running with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. What's one of Stephen's gifts is I guess he doesn't speak people call it sometimes the Accountanese language. Mm-hmm. He often he's very capable of breaking it down. He calls it Barney style. So like a kid could understand it. And particularly with our advisory service launch that we are aiming to launch pretty soon here, that's where his contribution really makes the most sense, because that's kind of how his brain how his brain works too. Yeah, just breaking it down in simpler language and really connecting to our clients in a deeper way.
I love it. I love it. That's exciting. That's really exciting. And having someone there with you to grow the business. I mean, many of the most successful bookkeepers that I know have had partners, and they've taken their role and run with it and been able to build really fantastic businesses. So I look forward to seeing yours continue to grow and flourish.
Thank you. Yeah.
So when you started the business, tell us a little bit about that. You got the business going, but you were the technician. You know, what was that journey like?
Mm. Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to this. It does feel like a lot of trial and error. We have made our fair share of mistakes along the way, although I prefer to call them lessons. And as you were saying earlier, Michael, like I think it's tough in this field because we go to school, we learn how to be technicians, but we don't necessarily learn the ins and outs of how to effectively run and build a successful business. So I often feel like it's the case that we need to live it out in the business world. So we've been just been trying to learn along the way and stay humble. And also, we're constantly asking for, we do a lot of 360 feedback with our team. And that's very important for us on an ongoing basis to get feedback from our not just our clientele, but also our staff. But I know early on this journey, we're only in year 2 at the moment. I know some of our mistakes were not charging enough. We have since gotten involved with Mark Wickersham's Value Pricing Academy, and the information in there, including his effective pricing software, really helped us more confidently charge our services, but also showcase our pricing in a transparent and creative way that involves our clients. So instead of sending a quote in the mail, we price right in front of them and field questions in real time. And I wanted to mention also, falling into the trap of clientele seeing us as just a bookkeeper. So we actively, we're very intentional with our marketing. We actively market ourselves as business advisors first and bookkeepers second. So that's really helped people realize we can offer so much more. Pure bookkeeping has helped so much with our marketing in regards to our website and building more concrete systems that have allowed us to scale and grow wisely. I mean, we had systems before, but they needed polishing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great to hear. So it sounds like the big mistakes were making, which are costly ones, definitely not charging enough, but also the perception from your clients being just a bookkeeper. And how did you overcome that piece of the just being, having your clients perceive you as just a bookkeeper? Was there anything specific you did?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think surrounding ourselves around other bookkeeping and accounting professionals in a big way, and early and often, we were doing that. I know before we encountered pure bookkeeping, I did feel that in a strange way, we were spectators in our own business almost. We wanted to be proactive, but we didn't feel 100% confident in what that looked like or where to start with how to more effectively run and scale this thing. And I'm very passionate about not growing too quickly as well, because the people that have come before me and are years down the road, they are really struggling with migrating away from, let's say, hourly to making the huge leap from hourly to value pricing. And so we've been doing that huge leap very recently with our current clients, as well as prospects. They go through that whole process with us, and we've really polished that onboarding process, and we really like to get to know the clients in an intimate way very early on. So we like to ask them why did you start this business? Like, what's your goals? Because Stephen and I, we are very goal driven people. So I like to know where our clients are going, and what their dreams are. Like, where do they want to take this ultimately? And having that conversation, not just at the beginning, but checking in with them frequently about that, and making sure that we're hitting those targets and helping them achieve those goals sooner. That's a big value of ours.
I love that. And I love the way you framed it. I could hear you say that to a client. And I think it's one that I've heard in the past. Listeners, bookkeepers that we've worked with feel uncomfortable asking about a business owner's goals. I mean, not so much, this was maybe a little further back, but it's like, if you're just a bookkeeper, or you think you're just a bookkeeper, you're going to ask just bookkeeper questions, but you're asking entrepreneurial questions and manager questions, not the technician questions. Because if you think, getting back to the E-Myth, right? There's the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur, and all of three of them would have different questions, and so should they, right? Yeah. Like, what are we actually doing? It would be the technician, and how are we going to do it, and what's our process to do it? These are all things that you would potentially ask, but your client doesn't need to know any of that. Mm-hmm. Whereas the entrepreneur and the manager, those are some good questions there. And you've asked a really great question, but you framed it in a way that I love, which is, you're telling them that we run our business, which puts you on the level of business owner to business owner, which again brings you to the table as equals. Mm-hmm. And you said, we run our business, and we are really focused on our vision and our goals, and we're goal oriented. And so I like to know what your goals are and what your vision is. I mean, it's just so natural. I love the way you've positioned that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think our listener can do the same. And it becomes, if you think about it, if that's one of the first conversations you have with somebody, you've instantly ended the, I'm a bookkeeper. No, I'm a business owner that delivers a service to help you get what you see, what your vision is, and help you achieve those goals, versus I'm here to as a vendor, to do a service for you. You're there. You're stepping up to the plate as a partner, as someone that can help them achieve their vision and their goals. I mean, that's much more valuable starting off that way. And it's hard to go back, right? It's like, if you start off, it's hard to go from technician to manager, entrepreneur, business owner, but it's even harder to go from I'm a business owner down to tech. They will never see you as just a bookkeeper, because you've set that in place right out of the gate.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. All of the above, really. We aim to truly be seen and act like partners in their business, and we're right there along with them. So we want to hear about those hurdles. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want it to be a free-flowing conversation, and across the board, our onboarding process with clients in particular, I'm of the mind that any task I do, someone else should be able to do this. And so, yes, there's some questions that are pretty much like cookie cutter. Cookie cutter out of the box. We ask the same questions across the board to the small guy, the guy who wants the empire, across the board, everyone gets the same questions. We ask the same things, but the idea is that, a manager can step in and do the same thing, or a senior or a junior as well. So at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out how they communicate as well, and try to develop rapport quite early on, and to build that trust with them.
I love that. And tell us a little bit about where you find your clients. How have clients found you? How have you found them? What's that look like?
Yeah. So before we incorporated at the end of December 2021, before then, for about, I think it was 11 months or so before then, I actually, because I was I had left being in the employee role, and I thought, I was very intrigued by the programming world, actually. Even though I had bookkeeping jobs before then, I thought, oh, I'll go on Upwork and I will find clients that way, and maybe it'll be some pocket money, and then I will teach myself coding. My dad has taught himself how to program, so I would pick his brain on Java, Python, all that good stuff, and nerd out right along with him. But as I was doing that on the side, as well as taking care of a few clients, I got more and more traffic on Upwork. And I realized it was because I was communicating, kind of just focusing on a serious pain point that most clients have, in the fact that their books are often neglected, they're feeling behind, they're feeling overwhelmed, and that was causing more and more traffic and attention on Upwork. And that kind of made me pivot a bit more and think, okay, well, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to stay as a sole proprietor? Nothing wrong with that. But I felt like, well, wouldn't it be cool just to try it and see, like, let's try to have Stephen in this, and let's start hiring people, and let's see how far we can take this. And I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person. I don't know. I naively thought that was just going to be some pocket money, but really I was tapping into something that people, I think we need to position ourselves in our marketing that it's more about the client. It's not about us. It should be more about their journey and their pain points, their successes, and how we can serve them.
I love that, and so true. And I can see right away why that was very successful. You're hitting upon their pain, what they're suffering from, and if someone says, "Well, I do bookkeeping," it's not their pain. Their pain is they have it's completely foreign to them. They know there's things that need to be done in the finances, but they might not even resonate. Like the word bookkeeper might not even resonate. It's not really even the solution they might need to they don't even know what the solution is, many of them, but
Yeah.
you're hitting pain. And so that's a fantastic message for our listener to be thinking about. What are you saying when you are introducing yourself to potential clients, or what's on your website, and how are you positioning yourself? Because it makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
When it comes to your business, I'd love to know, what is it that you, I think there's a television show, it's Love It or Leave It. What are the parts of your business that you love? What parts would you love to leave?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think the parts of the business that I absolutely love is anytime I'm in front of a client, I think is so valuable. We are completely virtual, and I don't honestly think that we're going to ever have the brick and mortar office, but we host everything on Zoom. We use Slack as well for our communication, our internal communication with the team and everything. So I would say anytime we're on Zoom and Stephen and I, or just me, if one or both of us is in front of the client, that's always super valuable and super fun, because that's where the magic happens. Sometimes a lot of the clients, they don't know what they don't know. And, you have a solution or a tool in your tool belt, and that could really help them, help their operation. It could really make a world of difference. I think one of the things that has been really cool recently is that we've been able to influence a client's operation beyond just the typical bookkeeping tech stack and things like that. But, the project management software and just some of the tools we use have really helped serve us. And that's actually one of the things I love in business. I often feel that it's creativity meets strategy. And where I find the creativity is just looking at all the apps, all the tools out there to help you, and kind of really trying to vet them and see how what their support is like, what that customer experience journey is like. And yeah, just seeing how we can prepare ourselves for more success, but also our clients as well. I'm always curious to see more deeply what their operation is. I mean, we do offer certainly cloud setup. We are a hybrid firm. We do like QuickBooks Online and Xero, and maybe down the road we will just pick one and just run with it. But for now, we are hybrid. But I've seen the transformation of people going from spreadsheets to QuickBooks Online, or spreadsheets to Xero, that kind of thing. So I think that's what gets me really excited, is being involved in that transformation and actually influencing all of that. Yeah. But I know for Stephen as well, I would say I think he really enjoys the definitely, he would say probably as well, the being in front of clients. And he has expressed to me that he loves it so much, and he really likes the marketing angle as well.
That's great. And then are there pieces that you'd love to leave?
Yeah, I think definitely some of the processing that I'm still doing. So a lot of the bookkeeping work, definitely trying to offload more of that. We've been very strategic and intentional with the systems, and that's where Pure comes in. We were pretty mesmerized with all the resources that Pure had to offer. It was unlike anything. I can't imagine not using Pure Bookkeeping, because I know what we would really need to build and polish with the prior systems. It felt like we were going back to square one and tinkering with it each time. And so I think delegating more, having these systems in place, will allow me and Stephen to delegate more and more to the team. And truly, it's all about empowering our team to grow and develop as well as individuals, but also us as a group. I always tell our staff, like, we are stronger as a group, as a team. Like, we can't do this without you, kind of thing. And it's truly, truly, that is the way.
That's lovely. That's lovely. I really see, actually, having had this conversation, I see that both you and Stephen are coming at it from very entrepreneurial angle. And you're really looking at the business in terms of you being the entrepreneur and manager, maybe even more the entrepreneur, because you're really looking at this. How do you scale it? How do you put the systems in place and have this business? Like, you have a vision for the business, and now you're putting in the systems and the processes and what's needed in order to scale, but you're not the one doing the work. And that's where a lot of business owners get stuck, is that they're working in the business versus working on the business and having the business be its own entity and delivering its own outputs and outcomes, but not the one doing the work necessarily of the business. It's like the person who owns a plumbing company but doesn't even know how to plumb, right?
Yes.
They're they're hiring those people. They're hiring all of the pieces that are needed, and that's a business. And that's can be difficult just in this industry and many other technical type businesses. Bookkeeping, most come from a technician standpoint, and that's why that book was written. And they get stuck there doing the work and never get out of doing the work, which can be frustrating and challenging.
Yeah, absolutely.
So congratulations on getting coming at it that way, and I can really see it. You have your vision, and you're putting the right things in place to make it successful. Any last tips or thoughts that you'd love to share with our listener before we end this conversation?
Yeah, I think Stephen and I both realize, and like, we think it's definitely important to use your own strengths in your business. Like, don't try and be something you're not. Like, lean into who you are, your natural gifts. So for example, what that might look like is if you don't want to lean in to providing XYZ service or onboard that prospect, even early on, you don't have to. I find that there is courage, but also lots of freedom in drawing the line and saying no. And also, if you have a team, try and include them in your vision early and often. That's what we do. We're constantly communicating and sharing our brand. So our mission, vision, values, and goals with our team, all the time. And so as a group, I've seen how empowering it is to share the wins, share the hurdles. And I know for us, delegating to our team more and more as we go on this journey, it really shows our team that we trust them and we want to empower them to grow and challenge them in a healthy way as well.
I absolutely love that. Some fantastic gold in this episode, and I want to thank you for being on the show on behalf of our listener, for your generosity and sharing your journey and your expertise and the things that you've learned along the way. And before we let you go, if there are listeners that would like to connect with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Awesome. Yeah. So definitely our website, stelexsolutions.com. So that's STELEX solutions.com. You can read about the services we have to offer, as well as our vision and our core values as a company. It's very important to us that we share what those core values are. We're also on Instagram. We share our golden rules, some fun memes, because, who doesn't love memes, right? We're also on LinkedIn and TikTok, and very excited to share that we will also be launching our YouTube channel this month. So stay tuned for our countdown for that. We'll be sharing days in the life, mini tutorials, business tips, and useful advice. So all of that good stuff.
Lovely. I just love that. You got lots on and lots of cool things you're up to. I can't wait to see how things go and connect with you later down the track.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.